Hi, I'm Deborah Stengel, founder of Sedona Soul Adventures and international best-selling author of The Journey to Happy, coming to you again from incredibly beautiful Sedona, Arizona, and I'm so happy you're here with me again. In this series of videos, I'm talking to you about concepts from my book, The Journey to Happy, how embracing the concept that nothing is wrong can transform your life. So far, I've given you about 20 videos that are based on the book and based on concepts that you can use right now. But what I'm going to do today is finally talk to you about what I consider to be the most important concept, the one that is actually what I start off with in the book, and that is nothing is wrong with you. From my own personal journey, and after 17 years of working with people at Sedona Soul Adventures, I can tell you that the most important concept that can have the biggest impact on your life is having a really deep knowing that nothing is wrong with you. It's at the core of everything that is causing problems in your life. And I can already hear you reacting to this out there, saying things like, Deborah, what are you talking about? Of course there's something wrong with me. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not thin enough. Or who are you to tell me there's nothing wrong with me? And that's fine. You can argue for your deficiencies as much as you want to, but for a moment, I want to argue for the other side because it's exactly that's going to keep you stuck. And I do want to argue for the other side because on the other side is everything you want. Peace, happiness, love, the dream job, the fantastic relationship, a healthy body, abundance, and of course, puppies and kittens and unicorns. And yes, to many this does sound like far out woo-woo, and that's why I'm joking about the puppies and the kittens and the unicorns. But I'll tell you, you can talk to psychiatrists or psychologists or business people who have had huge success, and they will all tell you the same variation on this theme. If you don't love yourself, that's going to sabotage every area of your life. As Henry Ford said, there's two kinds of people in the world. Those who think they can and those who think they can't. And they're both right. He knew it's all about what you're thinking and what you're believing. So why not make the decision to think something different about yourself? Why not make the decision to decide that nothing is wrong with you and see what happens? I mean, what have you got to lose? I was unhappy for most of my life. I grew up in a family where we were all expected to perform, and it was all about achieving. Get good grades, practice your dancing, be an Eagle Scout, be a Girl Scout, all about doing. And then when I was 12 years old, my father's alcoholism really started kicking in, and things really went to hell. I really felt like everything was wrong with my life. I felt like I had a secret that I had to hide. And so that really made me feel like there was something very wrong with me. I got married at 19 just to get away from all of that. And of course, that never works. I became an attorney and I hated all of the constant fighting and arguing. I ended up in an unhappy marriage. I, at one point, weighed over 40 pounds more than I weigh now. My mother died when she was only 51 and I was only in my 20s. And amazingly, out of all that pain, the one really wonderful thing that happened was that it started me on my spiritual path. I read a zillion books. I went to workshops and seminars. I did readings. I went into therapy. And it made me feel a little bit better, but nothing really changed for me until I came to Sedona for the first time 20 years ago. It was then that I started working one-on-one with the incredible master practitioners who are here in Sedona. And then one day, the most amazing thing happened. I was having an argument with my soon-to-be ex-husband, and as usual, the argument came down to that it was always his position that no matter what he had done or not done, that it was never okay for me to be angry with him. So the arguments always came down to that there was something wrong with me, and the thing that was wrong with me is that I was being angry. There was something wrong with me. I went home alone and I was sobbing, and finally I climbed into bed, and after a little while, all of a sudden, and this is where the story starts to get a little weird, but just stay with me. All of a sudden I started vibrating, and I was vibrating so much that I couldn't move. And I was lying there, and all of a sudden I started hearing this voice that was different from anything that I had sort of felt or heard before. And it kept saying, "There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you." The words kept repeating over and over again, and I started thinking, I need to really listen to this. This is important. And then they started showing me how in every part of my life, my body, my work, my anger, everything, that nothing was wrong with me. And at that moment, everything changed. I finally got it. I got it on all the levels: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. I knew I just had to drop my old belief that something was wrong. I had to drop my resistance. I had to stop being so desperate about having everything be different. And that's when everything changed for me. And then suddenly, 5 weeks later, I discovered that I had dropped 40 pounds without diet or exercise. And the point of that is, when I suddenly shifted how I was thinking about everything, I had an immediate result in what had been one of the most difficult areas of my life. I talk more about all of that in my video, Nothing is Wrong with Your Body, so you might want to look at that. I've spoken with you before on other videos about why all this works. Quantum physics has proven that everything is energy. They've also proven that putting our attention on something in any way changes it. So if everything is energy, and if putting our attention on something in any way changes it, that means we're all creating our reality in every moment. What we focus on expands. We get more of whatever it is that we think about and talk about. So if you believe there's something wrong with you, you are going to automatically attract people who also feel like there's something wrong with you. You're also going to attract a mate and friends and other people in your life who will share your belief and thought that there's something wrong with you. Now, if you can do what I call flipping the switch and make that shift into believing that nothing is wrong with you, everything can shift. We had a woman who came a while ago, and I have to say, almost everyone who comes to us, there is some level of this going on. It just kind of depends on how deep is it and what triggered it and how is it showing up. And even for people who think that this isn't an issue, it is. There is just a level of that seems to be going on with almost everyone I've ever met. And it didn't matter if they were hugely successful or not successful, happy or not happy, almost everyone has this going on. And like I said, what it really comes down to is, how is it showing up and how did it start? So the woman who came to us, she was really, really broken down by life. She had been raised in a family where her mother actually talked about that she never wanted to have children, and she didn't like having children, and she didn't like being a mother. And her father was a strict disciplinarian, and he was always holding her to a standard that she was never able to live up to. And then, not surprisingly, she married a man who, well, they got together. He was very much like her father. She got pregnant, and then they got married, and She always felt like he only married her because of the pregnancy. And later on, when she would say to him that she didn't feel loved, he would say to her, well, I married you, didn't I? And which of course did not help. So within the course of a year, she had lost her mother. Her mother had passed away, and her husband had left her. And when she came to us, she was absolutely in a tailspin. She was also a people pleaser. She was always doing things for other people in order to get love. And when she came to us, what she was telling us was, I need to learn how to set boundaries. That is what my real problem is. But it didn't take very long for us to figure out that what was really going on was the way that she had grown up with both her mother and her father not feeling loved, and then marrying a man who she didn't feel really loved her, and then who had left her, was bringing up and triggering for healing all of these feelings of there's something wrong with me. So in her first clearing sessions, she could see how her heart had been broken almost immediately after birth, because she was with a mother who just simply couldn't love her. So in those sessions, we cleared out that heartbreak and then moved energy in to fill up that hole in her heart. And then the really amazing thing happened. In her breath journey, suddenly she had a vision of her mother coming to her, and her mother had already passed away. And in the vision, her mother came to her and told her for the first time how much she loved her. And she felt, she told me later, just filled with this love. Her mother embraced her and kept saying, I love you, my child. I love you, my child. I love you, my child. Isn't that just so beautiful? I mean, the thing that she needed most to hear when she was a little girl, she finally got to receive from her mother. Then finally, in her transformation session, she saw how she has all this love within her now. She saw how she doesn't need to get it from the outside. She has it all within herself. She went back home, and this has affected absolutely every area of her life. Instead of being all depressed about the divorce, she went back home happy that she was finally not going to be with a man who didn't really love her, and that she would then open up to having somebody really love her. And that actually happened within just a few months of her going home. Then, just a few weeks after she left Sedona, she went back to her job, and she stopped being a doormat for everybody. And suddenly, within just a few weeks, she got a phone call from a very large, very famous company who offered her this incredible, spectacular job of more money and spending less time there. It also really opened up her relationship with her two children, because she's loving them in an even bigger and deeper way and being much more demonstrative with them. When you believe that nothing is wrong with you, the people around you feel that and start thinking that too. Let me say that again, because it's so important. When you believe nothing is wrong with you, the people around you feel that and start thinking that too. There are lots of things that you can do to start believing that nothing is wrong with you. Watch my other videos, read my book, but it starts with this one basic decision. Decide that nothing is wrong with you. As the Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Are you going to argue with the Buddha? I hope this helped. And if you got value from this video, please take the time to like it, share it with someone in your life who you think might get some value out of it, and subscribe to our channel. And if you want an even more direct path to loving yourself, then go to SedonaRetreatGuide.com and get your complimentary copy of the Sedona Guide to Spiritual Retreats today. Or if you'd like to talk to someone about doing a retreat that's custom designed for you, call us at 928-204-5988. You can have the life and relationship you want. I know it.